Hi, welcome back. Psalm 50:15 says this. God is saying, "Call on me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me." This is something actually that I've experienced in my life that I'm writing about in this chapter, but also the clients that IJM works with all over the world, many of them have had this experience where they have called on God in their day of trouble and have experienced the body of Christ show up in their day of need and actually bring rescue. One of those clients is a young woman named Mana. She had actually been trafficked into a brothel in Southeast Asia and was rescued in an IJM intervention. And she says this, with a smile that filled the room like sunlight, she said, "I came to prison, but I am not alone. God took me from that place to here. And I'm requesting to God that like IJM saved me, they will save even more. What is impossible for men is possible for God." Now, it's interesting to think about Mana having this experience and calling out to God for rescue and God delivering her. This is an experience that would, of necessity, grow her faith, grow her ability and willingness to believe that God could indeed bring rescue to even more people. And this process of learning to grow in trust, of building faith, really is important for us. And for those of us, so many of us, people like me who grew up in the developed world and don't have a sense of the kind of danger that so many people live with in our world today, we actually have to go through the process of making choices that will lead us to places where trust is required of us. I've talked about this in this chapter and before in these videos, but it's just so important. And this was so profoundly true for me about 10 years ago in Peru. The experience I had, my first exposure to the clients that IJM was working with in Peru, was so challenging for me, so challenging to my faith, that it actually led me to a place where the only thing left for me was to cry out to God, because I was in trouble. I was in trouble because of how angry I was at the abuse these clients had experienced. I was in trouble because I wasn't sure that God was capable of actually intervening. So then being able to march through this week with some friends who were able to support me in my crisis and then see the deliverance of God worked out, even in the simple idea of this young woman in Peru singing this beautiful Spanish worship song, was a thing that just stretched and grew and gave me deeper and deeper faith. This is an experience I want all of my friends anywhere in the world to begin to just decide to choose into. Experiences that require faith of us, experiences that inspire faith of us. And this is what the Justice Journey offers us, is the chance to be in these places more frequently, where the only one who can come through is God, and when God does come through, we give Him glory. This is an experience that we should have together. So I'd love for you to have some time to talk through the questions that are at the end of this chapter. How have you seen God come through in a crisis of faith? How have you seen Him come through as a God who is even bigger than you were able to imagine before the experience? Talk about this with some friends. Have some time, spend some time journaling. And use the questions at the end of this chapter to engage with this issue a little bit more deeply. And I'll see you at the end of chapter 4.